Blender, blender, blender. We're gonna do some blender. We share the screen with. There we go. Share the screen. Go live with Enigma Dragon. Hi! Oh, you sound like your voice is down. Yeah, are you like sick or something? Oh, okay. Your voice is kind of raspy, but oh well. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. Okay. Hey, you do whatever you like. So long as you can see what's going on here. All right. Okay. Let me see if I can pop that out. And there we go. That looks like a loop. Alright. So, the basics of the basics then. And you want to learn from scratch. Okay. So, you've already gone through the donut tutorial, and you say that you mostly learned just how to manipulate the camera from that. Yes? Yeah?
Do you have, double streaming or double mic going on?
Well, I don't, yeah, your voice is coming out my speakers, so I don't have a pair of headphones to nullify that right now. That's why you're hearing yourself a little bit. Yeah, let me lower my mic sensitivity on Discord for you, if I can remember where to do that. Noise suppression, test. Turn noise suppression on. That'll probably do wonders. How's that? Any better?
Not really, but I can still no worries.
Okay. I'll turn the input volume down a little bit on my microphone then. There we go. Alright. So, donuts. So, there's two parts to any model that you're going to want to do. There's the skeleton, also called the armature, and there's the mesh, which is called the mesh. The mesh is basically the skin that gives, the model its shape and appearance. And the armature is an invisible part that's the skeleton that moves everything around. There's another thing that makes a model move around. It's called the blend shape. And the way that's a part of the mesh, and it moves polygons by themselves. It's a little bit complicated, but it's pretty simple. Let me go ahead and add a quick cube in here using the add menu. Mesh, cube. So now we've got a cube in here. And go to edit mode so that we can edit the polygons. So let's say this polygon, I wanted to do something to make it move. I could do what's called the shape key over here, which is, just for example, yeah, I'm just making a shape key as an example to show you how a shape key would work. In this shape key, I'm going to have this surface moving upwards. So I've just recorded that by doing it in edit mode with the shape key highlighted. So now I can make it move up and down whenever I want by just changing the value of the shape key from 0 to 100%. That's useful for getting polygons to move in straight lines. If you want something to move on a curve, however, you need to set up a bone. So, real quick, I'm just going to make a single bone here and attach the mesh to the bone. Deform armature, drag the armature into there so that it's attached to that one. And then I need to, what's that bone named? Just bone, okay. So now I need to attach one of the faces of the cube to that armature. So let's attach this one by making a vertex group called bone and assigning it. And now, if I go into pose mode and move this bone around, it should make that go on a curve, as you see. That's the two basic ways to make a model move. And with those two, you can basically do anything you want because, you know, there's two types of motion. You can make something move on a curve or move in a straight line. There's nothing else. So, that's just to show you the two types of motion. Let's show you how to make a shape. So, starting with the cube, what do you want to turn the cube into? So let's just turn it into something simple, like a star, a triangle, pyramid, some other basic shape. Okay, let's make the cube into a round puck shape. Sound good? Okay, so I just changed my view to straight down from on top, and now we want to make this cube a puck. So since the cube only has the four corner vertices like that, we can't exactly make a puck because there's not enough vertices, so we need to make some more. The easiest way that I know to make new vertices, and vertices are what all these points are called. Vertexes, vertices, they're any point, any corner of a polygon. So there's also edges, which you can highlight using this. Right now, by the way, we're in edit mode. This is the mode we use for changing things, of course, editing. And of course, this is the tool to highlight whole polygons. Okay, let me get out of that shape key real quick. But we want to change vertices. So we need to add more vertices, first of all. The way we do that, I'm going to do it by highlighting the all of the edges that I want to add vertices to. And I'm going to go to edge here and subdivide. Now you can see what that's done is that essentially cut all those lines in half and added a new line in there. So now what we can do, now that those lines exist, we can move them. So I could just select, let's go back to the top view. I can select those four middle ones, and I can go like this to scale it out, and this to scale it out, and we're starting to make a puck shape. And then we can make it, of course this isn't very smooth, but that's a good, luckily, we can make it smoother because in that subdivide tool, there are options that always pop up in a menu down here. So I can change the number of cuts that I do. So now we're dividing it by 3 lines instead of just the 1. You see how that works? And then from there, we can go like that, and then like that, and that. And granted, I've just made a bit more of a digivice than a puck, but it's okay. You following along?
I'm getting in line here, but I still feel lost.
Okay. Well, what I'm showing you how to do is to take any polygon and cut it so that you make more polygons. Because essentially what you're trying to always do is turn straight lines into curves. And you need to do that by making points. You following?
I think.
Let me think about a better way to describe this. I know a way to demonstrate. Let me make 2 spheres. Here's a sphere over here. I'm going to move it just over there. That's one sphere right there. It has 32 slices going around it. So there are 32 rows of polygons in that sphere. I'm going to make another sphere here. And this one is only going to have, let's say, 8 rows. You can see from the top, one of these spheres is a lot rounder than the other. I mean, granted, they both work as spheres, but this one is a lot cleaner than this one. So you want to be able to turn things. Yeah, the more polygons you have, the smoother things will look. So one of the things that is important to learn to do is how to take polygons and chop them up in specific ways by doing things like subdividing them, which makes a perfectly in half cut. There are other tools like this one. Yeah, subdividing. There are other tools like this one here, the knife, where you can cut polygons directly, like that, from any point on an edge to any point on an edge. That's less precise, so I don't like it so much. It will latch onto corners though, which is useful for turning things like squares into triangles. But if you also don't really care about, perfect symmetry, this is a way to make quick shapes. The loop cut is another one here, and this one is good for cutting things in half. Like that right there cuts that in half. And basically, you just want to be able to play around with all these shapes because they all do something different. And like, here's the extrude tool, which is one of my favorites to use. This is good for when it comes time to like make a new limb or something, an antenna, something, anything that's going to stick out. You would select the polygon that you want to make stick out, and using the extrude tool, bam, it's just that easy to make something stick out. Just highlight it, grab it, and up you go. And you can change here in the thing how far it's gone too. So say I want to make it exactly 1 meter, that's exactly 1 meter. say I want to take those hard corners on it and bevel them, well, here's the bevel tool. So now it's got a nice bevel to it. And I can make that smoother by adding more segments. So now it's a curved bevel instead of a straight one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This could be an easier way to make city buildings.
Oh, absolutely. Buildings are damn easy to make. Because they're mostly just straight lines. In fact, that would be a great way to get familiar with the edit mode. Is just go, okay, I'm going to make the Empire State Building. You'll be done before you know it. Making characters is going to be more complicated, though, because they use, there's two types of models. There's hard edge stuff, aka buildings, spaceships, etc., and soft edges, which is creatures and biological things. The biological things all use curves. So for curves, usually you don't want to use the edit mode so much, unless you're really used to the edit mode and you know what you're doing in it. There's another mode here called sculpt mode. This mode has tools that think of it like you're modeling on a piece of clay. You know, like how you can press your thumb into it to leave a dent. You can grab a bit of it and extrude it back outwards, and it'll pull some of the other of the clay with it. You can smear it, do a whole bunch of other stuff. That's what these tools are like. For example, here's the grab tool. I'm gonna radius up a little bit so that it's bigger, and you can see as I grab part of the sphere, it's pulling a bit more of the sphere along with it, not just the one polygon that I choose. I can do the smooth tool here to smooth things back out again. I can use the inflate tool, one of the more popular tools for doing things, because you can then make things bigger and fatter. Yep. Yes, I did. Yep. Yep. That's the power of the inflate tool right there in sculpt mode. The inflate tool is one of the tools that you'll use quite often if you're making fat things. Another one being the blob. These two tools are very similar. The blob tool is a lot more localized, so it the blob tool makes pimples, as where the inflate tool inflates. So let's undo those two things real quick. Let's see. Crease. Oh. Yeah. ZBrush is a sculpting tool. As where Blender is free and open source, which makes it better. Like the edit mode, you just want to play around with these a whole bunch so that you get used to what they do. Here's another one that you'll often use is crease. This is, like, say we want to put the belly back onto the sphere, and we want to make it look like it's overhanging. Let's make an overhanging belly on this sphere. So, let me just delete these other objects. Select, invert, delete those. We don't need them. And back to sculpt mode. So we're going to make a belly that droops using the grab tool to grab, hold, and droop it down. And a little bit more, droop it down. Oop. Of course, I don't have the mirror tool on. This right here is always a good thing to have on, is the X mirror option, because what that does is, yeah, so long... Exactly. Of course, in this case, it's not going to work well because this is not centered. The sphere is not on the center line, but that's okay. That's right. This is just for demonstration, anyways. So droop down, droop down. That's a good droop, I think. Yeah. And then we want to, of course, because a drooping belly attaches closer up here than it does down here, I'm going to use the crease tool to make this crease in like that, and immediately we've got a much better droop going on. Let me see. Let's smooth this out a bit. Yeah, there we go. The smooth tool is a little bit strong at the moment, so I'm going to turn its strength down up here. There we go. Yeah, and the sculpting tools are a lot more intuitive than the editing tools are. The editing tools are a lot of math-based stuff. Meanwhile, the sculpting tools, again, it's like playing with a mass of clay, which is something every kid does, and thus it is easy to understand. Let me see, what's another good tool to demonstrate? Oh, fill. For when you've made a crease that's too deep, the fill tool will help undo creases. That's that one. Let's see. Nudge. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, let's do that. Let's add some arms and legs onto a sphere. Let's get rid of this. Yeah. Let's get rid of this sphere while we're here, because this is not exactly a sphere anymore. So let's real quick add a new sphere, UV sphere, and let's make it have enough polygons to work with. It was 36, I think it was. Yep. So there we go, that's a nice sphere. Now let's add some arms and legs. First off, let's turn on that X mirror, so that everything we do on one side happens on the other side. And like I said before, usually when you add a new object, it starts off automatically on the center. If it's not, a good way to center things would be to select it all. And here we go, let's select it all. And I just turned on the X-ray mode so that I'm selecting all the stuff in the back as well. Because if you have X-ray mode turned off and you highlight something, it only highlights what you're actually seeing. So X-ray mode lets me select everything. And then in there's this little arrow right here that pulls open. And this is a bunch of different menus that you get, like the item menu, which controls a lot more math-based stuff. Like, here's where you would say, move this off of its center. If it was off-center and you wanted to move... Yeah, so if you want to move it to the center, you would select everything you want to move, open up this item menu here, and make its median 0. And you centered it.
Interesting. Also, I noticed your blender is the 4.0 minus 4.1. I hope there are no difference.
Oh no, most versions of Blender are very, very similar. 4.1 is the most recent one. Uh, 4.0 is from like a couple months ago. They work exactly the same. So let's go ahead and get.
I was following the donut tutorial. One of these steps were missing. Because apparently the
Ah. Well, the thing about the donut tutorial is it's a little too hyper specific and therefore not very helpful, I think. As where, you know, the best way I find to learn is to just mess around with stuff. So anyways, we want to make some arms and legs on this sphere. So let's go ahead over here and let's choose which polygons we want to make into the arms. Those four right there look like they would be vaguely where the arm would be. Actually, let's whoop.
So, basically, when you selected them, you were just like, what, control, select, control, click?
I mean, yeah, shift and then highlighting them. Yeah, it's your usual art tool highlighting boxes right here, like this one to add more without needing to hit any buttons. This one to remove without holding down a button. Intersect and invert. Yeah, all pretty standard stuff. If you use Photoshop, it's very similar to that as well. But either way, the four arm polygons I think I've got good. So let's do, and this is going to be a really ugly arm. It's not going to be round at all. But oh. Yeah. Oop. Is the X. Oh. Okay, hang on. Well, that's okay. We can do this like this. Highlighting them on the other side. So now we have both sides highlighted. And then we use the extrude tool.
So, when you selected that part of the mirror on that side, the other side is not selected with the mirror?
No, the mirror tool only does so much. There are a lot of things that the mirror tool doesn't affect. One of them is selecting things. So if I want to select something that's the same on the other side, the quickest way I find to do it is to jump right over here so that we're looking straight onto the side and just shift and shift, select through the X-ray so that we're selecting the other side. And extrude tool. Now it's going to extrude differently because it's extruding both sides at once, but that's okay. Because what we can do now, once we've extruded them, is we just move them. Okay. Why is the X not coming? Topology error. I think that's why. No, that's not what we want. Ignore that. Alright, in that case, we'll just do it mathematically based. We'll move this to where we want it. And, so that's negative 1.5, say, negative 0.15. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So, 1.5, negative 0.15. And they match up. Yep, they do. Another quick and easy way to make sure that things are all mirrored is to start off with a modifier called mirror modifier. And this is something that's really, really helpful. You can see over here this blue wrench icon. This is the modifiers. Before I jumped into it to make an armature, there's a whole bunch of different modifiers that do a whole bunch of different things. The armature modifier does the bone motion. Solidify is a great one for making clothing, later on. Deform has a lot of the ones you want to use. Let's see, where is it? Oh no, it's under Generate, Mirror. So when I add this, I can now just delete half of the model. Whoop, delete half of the model. And when I go out of edit mode, why is it? Hang on a second. Am I stupid? Oh, I'm stupid. That's why. Okay. I'll fix it. I'm mirroring the x-axis, but I wasn't looking at it straight on. The red bar is the x-axis. So that what we've been thinking of as an arm is actually sticking straight out of his chest at the moment. Because we're turned 90 degrees. So now yeah, that's why the mirror modifier wasn't working correctly. There we go. So now we're actually working along the x-axis, and you can see that the mirror modifier has done this even though we only have one half of the model that we're actually working with. If I were to select all, there's nothing on that side to select because it doesn't exist. So now, making the legs will be much easier. Let's do these ones here. And we'll use that extrude tool again to make two quick legs like that. And let's add on another sphere to make a head. Add a UV sphere. One that's, yeah, like that. And let's move it up and shrink it down. There we go. And let's add a tube to give him a neck. Would help if I could see it. There we go. And move it up. There we go. We've made a creature. I'm not exactly sure what it'll be, but it's a creature. So let's say we want... Yes. So let's say that we want to make him move around now. So let's do something real quick. Let's get out of edit mode and apply the modifier. Now what this does is it's going to take that half of the model that we've got, and it's going to make the actual other half exist when we apply it. So the drop down and apply. Oop. Oh, it can't be applied to something with a shape key. So we just gotta delete those shape keys and apply. And now when I go back to edit mode, the whole model exists. So let's say we're gonna make him able to move. Now, a humanoid skeleton is there's a specific way to make a humanoid skeleton. We're not gonna follow all those rules. We're just gonna say this is, body bone, arm bone, leg bone, because the standard humanoid skeleton is built a very specific way, and it's a bit complicated, so we're not going to worry about that. We're going to turn on the armature again, and in edit mode, where are you? There you are. So that's going to be our body bone right there. Remember how I went and made armature, or rather, to start to do this, let me do this from scratch for you again. So once we've got a model that we want to make move around, add armature, single bone, and that gives us one bone. In this menu here, we can control bone by doing things like naming it. This will be the body. And then we can add bones onto it in edit mode using the extrude tool. The extrude tool works basically the same way that the extrude tool works with the mesh. You can see it's creating a new bone based on the old one. Like that. So there we go, like that. And let's make one like that. And let's make it so that it's not connected. Because as you can see, everything is connected to the end of that first bone right now, which is something we don't want. So we highlight the bone that we want to disconnect, and we uncheck connected. And then we're able to move that bone around wherever we like. So there we go, now it matches. So there's the head, body. Of course, we gotta name them still, because you can see that's body number 001. We're gonna make that head instead. And this one's going to be arm dot L, because that's the left arm. This one will be leg dot L. And now we want to mirror these bones over to the other side. Well, there's a way to do that. Mirror mode. X global. Whoop. Oh no, that's not wolf. Whoop. Oh wait, no. No, wait. Duplicate. Duplicate the bones first. And then click to place them at 0, 0, 0. And now, you see how our cursor is all the way over here? And how when we mirrored them before, it mirrored them along that cursor? You see how it did? Yeah, we don't want to do that. We want to have that cursor over here so that when we mirror it, it mirrors them the other way instead. The way you do that and control where the cursor is this drop down right here. Right now it's at what's called bounding box center, which is it's evaluating what you have selected and figuring out the mathematical center of what you have selected. Instead, we're going to do 3D cursor, which is always placed at 0, 0, 0, unless you move the 3D cursor. So now that that's there, we can do mirror, X global, and it's flipped them to the other side. Now we just need to rename them. So this is arm right, and this is arm left, or leg right. Leg.r. Alright. And that right there is the skeleton. Now, if we move the skeleton around right now, it's not actually attached to any polygons, so it's not going to move anything. So what we need to do is go back to the mesh here and actually attach the polygons that we want to move to the specific bones. So under those modifiers again with the blue wrench, you're going to add a modifier for deform armature. And real quick, just drag and drop armature into the object, or just click in there and select armature. And then what I'm going to show you is another set of tools called the data. Right here, this is the green triangle with the 3 dots making a triangle. In here is also where you find the shape keys I showed you before. But vertex group is the important part. Vertex groups are how the bone knows which polygons to move with each bone. So when I go into edit mode and I select, say, these vertexes right here, they're the ones that I want to move with that left arm bone. So I make a vertex group that arm.l that perfectly matches the name of that bone. And I click assign with those ones selected. So now, when I go to the armature and I pose mode, move this bone around, all of a sudden it moves around those polygons. You following along so far?
So far, I am getting an idea or two, yeah.
Alright. So while I do this again for the other ones, should get you. Boop, there we go. Once again, under the data, I'm going to make a group for each thing. Arm.right. There's going to be, what did we name the middle one? Body. We named one head. And we had leg left and leg right. So now we go back to edit mode and we highlight that one is to arm right, assign. That one right there will go to leg left. These ones here will go to leg right. All of these ones here not including the one in the head, will go to body, assign, and all of these ones here will go to head. Now, by the way, a real useful tool, or rather keyboard shortcut, for selecting polygons is, say you want to select this much of the sphere, or say you wanted to select all of the head sphere, but you didn't want to select the ones here in the neck. A quick way to avoid doing that is Control and plus, and that selects the next polygons over to the ones you have selected already. And you can just do that until whatever object you want to highlight is entirely highlighted. So that's select that, Control plus, 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 and similarly to select one less, it's minus, 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 minus. So that you'll find yourself using a lot. And assign to head. And so now we've got everything assigned. So when we move everything around, that's the one arm, that's the other arm, the head, the leg, the other leg. We have turned the fat man into a gymnast, and we can make him go spinny. So anything you're confused about?
Well, beside being lost,
Oh no.
again on your tail, so that's
Well, what are you lost about? yeah, maybe we jumped a little too far in doing the armature. So let's go ahead and select all and clear the pose right now, so that we can go back to just worrying about the mesh. Let's not worry about any of that armature stuff. Just keep worrying about the mesh. So, again, sculpt mode. Yeah? Yes? Okay. I'm waiting for you to talk.
Oh no, I was waiting for you to start.
Oh, okay. Well, here, let me do something here. Let me pull up an already existing model. Here we go. This, fat Guillemot that I have. Let me open it up. Oop, it's opening in the, right-hand window, not the left window. That's okay. Because I've shown you the basics of the difference between sculpt mode and edit mode. So let's see about actually doing something useful to an existing model. This is a come on, there we go. So this is a Guillemot that is fetch that I have acquired. Yes. So a very nice model. And it's got clothing. Oh, Matt is the actual model, because that's who it is. So let's say, can you think of a change that you want to make to this model real quick? Okay, so let's give him some rest then. Alright. So in that case, let's go ahead to sculpt mode. And actually, before we go ahead and use sculpt mode, let's see how many polygons he has there. He has a few polygons. Yeah, that should be enough to add a set of breasts with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 rows, and horizontally there's plenty. So we're just going to go right into sculpt mode and start with the blob tool to start moving them outwards. We've got the X mirror turned on. And whoop. Oh, I'm probably in a shape key. Yep, here I am. So if ever you find yourself trying to edit something and it's not editing, you might be editing in a shape key. Make sure that you have basis selected, or the shape key that you want to make a shape key for, like say boobs. Make sure that's turned on, and then you'll be able to see what you're changing. So right now I'm just using the blob tool to get the polygons out and make the rough shape. And then I'm using the smooth tool there to smooth them out. Let's use the grab tool some to pull these guys forward. because you want to make sure that the polygons end up about where you want them. In this case, I want to have enough polygons in the middle here so that it's not just one square that's jutting out, that it actually has enough polygons to make it a smooth curve. Alright, we're starting to get the basic shape here down. So now we're going to go ahead and smooth it again, which is going to destroy it a little bit, but it also makes it more even, which is what you need. And you can see, more so than the inflate tool, I'm using the grab tool. The reason for that is because there are not a lot of polygons to work with. If I were to just use the inflate tool on say, that one section over and over again, you can see how it's like, it's mostly ending up with just this one polygon set here in the center. So if I were to turn up its strength and keep going, it'll end up looking really, really sharp and jagged. And that's bad. Instead, the grab tool is keeping the polygons together as I pull them all outwards. Turn up the radius a bit. There we go. And then smooth it back. Okay, and now that I have the basic shape there, with enough polygons in the right place, now I'll be able to use the inflate tool to make it bigger. And then to make them droop down, I use that grab tool again to and then the crease tool, like I mentioned before, to get this crease deep and in. And don't ever be afraid to go inside too, I didn't want to go to the camera view. To go inside the model too, to do some more editing as well. Because that can be helpful. Especially for making things like creases deeper, you want to do it from inside the model. And if you ever want to turn on the wireframe, here we go. It's under this menu here, which is overlays. You can turn on the wireframe in sculpt mode, which is very helpful because it's always good to have a clean mesh. Like this belly right here is now really, really messed up. So I smooth that out so that those lines are much more parallel to each other. Yeah. There we go. And also, from the inside, that looks good from the inside. Let's go ahead and smooth these out a bit. Now, of course, we want to have them droop all the way down, but we want to do that without modifying the belly all that much. Well, we can hide these polygons while we don't need them. We can go to edit mode, and select the polygons that we don't want to see right now, that we don't want to edit. It's useful to do this from the side, so that way with X-ray mode on you can see that it's even which polygons are hiding. There we go. And we can go to Mesh, Show Hide, and Hide Selected. And then when we go to Sculpt mode, they stay hidden. So now we can work on the underside of these moves and make them bigger by going down without needing to worry about affecting the belly as well. And then to see it real quick, we can go to Face Sets, and where's Show All Face Sets? Oh, wait, no, it's is it? Hang on a second. Here we go. Show All right there under Sculpt to show what's hidden. And then we can just undo to re-hide them. And a lot of, we've got the basic shape we want. A lot of what's left now to do is just refinement. The nudge tool is really good for refinement here, because this can like take individual polygons and move them without actually changing the shape all that much. So like the thing you want to try and get doing is to maintain the grid. Like you can see how certain polygons make rows and lines. You want to maintain those from every direction. And if things look like a pure grid from every direction, that's a really well made mesh. So like this one right here, now that's making a nice smooth curve. Similarly, this one is a bit jagged, so make that a nice smooth curve. And again, at this point, it's all just refinement and making sure that all the curves between the polygons are as smooth as possible. And sometimes you'll end up with weird shapes like right over here, where you'll go back and use the smooth tool to help you out. Or back to the inflate tool. And it's just a lot of back and forth, you know, refining and then making sure things are right, etc., etc. Until such point as they all look good. And sculpt, show all. And there's a nice big set of moves on them. And then I can turn off the wireframe. And because I did this as a shape key, I can also turn them off and on. Just like that. That's the wonderful thing about shape keys. It also helps to do everything on a shape key because it's a great way to have an undo button that goes back a lot further. You know what I mean? Like, the second you start, okay, I want to start making the boobs now, and you go, like, halfway through making them, you go, oh my god, I screwed this up really, really badly, and the undo button wouldn't go back far enough. If you made the moves on a shape key, that's okay. You can just delete that shape key and make another one. Alright, so. So let's see. Let's see. Some of the shape keys already on here. The smile shape key there. The frown shape key. Mouth up. Mouth down. Lip up. Yeah, a lot of models have a lot of different shape keys for the face. Mouth twist. Eyes shut. Eyes shut. Mouth open and closed. Angry. Surprised. There's the extra fat shape key here. Yes. Also, probably something that you would be interested to know about would be the belly bone here. As I explained before, the bones are what allow something to move. So if you have anything that you want to be like jiggly, that's gotta have a bone. So you can see the belly here is attached to a bone. That means you can wobble and such. Similarly, the tail is a series of bones, so that way it can articulate. Oh, and this one also has moved bones, so just to show this model off a bit. Any more questions or ideas of things you want to try and do? Ooh. Yes. Go ahead and do that. Toying around in the sculpt menu is a great way to get used to it and learn stuff. There is one tool I do want to say stay away from, and that's the elastic deform. It sounds and looks like it will be helpful, but I have never once found a use for it. The elastic deform is it does the same thing as the grab tool, except it reaches a whole lot longer. So you can see it's like moving the whole rest of the model as well, like the head all the way and such. Yeah. It affects way too much. The elastic deform is the grab tool, except it changes the whole model. So I don't recommend using that. I say stay away from it. Just stick to the grab tool, because that's the tool you want to use for body parts. here, which you don't have to worry about. I don't worry about them. Let's see. All the brush, fall off stuff, you don't gotta worry about that yet. Yeah, that'll basically be enough to get you going and messing around on a model.
Very much, yeah. I got a bit of very diet basic knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And I know to be offensive diet. It's not already happening in buffet world as well. So,
Oh, yes.
I'm a smaller fan.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm glad to help out anytime. You're quite welcome.